Welcome to the Alpha Warrior Show. We're excited to share diverse perspectives and expert insights with you. Please note that the views and information expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Alpha Warrior Show, its management, or our partners. Each of our affiliates and sponsors and partnerships is a separate entity, and their opinions are their own. Today's content is provided for information and educational purposes and should not be taken as specific advice, whether it be financial, medical, or legal. While we strive to present accurate and useful information, we cannot guarantee its completeness or relevance to your specific situation. We provide all information as is and encourage you to consult with a professional advisor to address your specific individual needs. Your use of any information from this broadcast is entirely at your own risk. By listening further, you agree to identify and protect the Alpha Warrior Show and its associates from any claims or damages arising from your use of this broadcast content. Changes to this disclaimer may be made at any time and will be done effectively immediately upon posting or broadcasting. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you find the episode both informative and thought-provoking. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
I hope you guys are pumped for this show because we're going to cover some really good stuff with a face and a story you're most definitely going to recognize if you live in the world of social media. What am I talking about? Not too long ago, a few days ago, we had a select committee where they were interviewing or questioning more like the world supervillain, Mr. Anthony Fauci. And during that time, a January 6th hero stole the limelight. I'm talking about Brandon Fellows, you guys. He's here, and we're going to bring him on the screen. We're going to get to one commercial, and then we're commercial free after this. So I will see you guys in 60 seconds.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium My Pillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over. Your entire order ships absolutely free.
$25, $25, $25, 75 bucks or more. It's free. Alpha Warriors Show. I'm sorry. My Pillow or my store. Promo code Alpha works. You go down in the links for the Alpha Warrior Show and you'll find all that stuff. Let me bring the gentleman you guys really want to hear from today. Brandon Fellows, Captain Insurrection. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Yeah, no, I've been really enjoying my time here, surprisingly, in DC. So it's been great.
Good stuff. So, Brandon, aside from this viral moment, and we'll make sure to play the clip and talk about that, but you have your story that kind of positioned you to be in this situation to begin with January 6th, the treatment you had from being in the DC gulags. Why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself first and how the whole kind of January 6th thing unfolded for you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, how long? Because I can do a short, medium. How long do you want? Because there's different variations.
We'll do the short one since time's of the essence right now. I want to make sure we get
Gotcha. Well, so for I lived in upstate New York. I was a captain of the wrestling team in high school. Youngest, some of my conservative friends make fun of me for this, but I was the youngest intern over at Golub Corporation and worked at age 17. Typically, they only accept juniors and seniors with the VP of Diversity and Inclusion. And I helped create an affinity group for Hispanic Latinos over there. Senator in college, kept the tuition down despite the terrible Obama economy. Denied the LGBTQ people extra funding, which that was tough to do in the liberal environment. I was like, yeah, we're not going to give that to you. So, and then I owned 2 businesses. So I co-owned a tree company since 2018. And then I had a chimney company that I began in 2019. Was offered to be bought out by 2 multi-million-dollar companies. And when I went to January 6th, it was just, it was multiple things. I, number one, knew that Trump's rallies were fun from friends. I'd never been to one. I knew that it was probably going to be his last one, or at least that's what I thought. I also knew that Antifa had the previous 2 other times in DC attacked people there. And I said, I want to go there to defend against that. And also, I just wanted to show support for Trump and also to protest, because I was kind of at that point, I was at the level of preponderance of the evidence, in between preponderance of the evidence and clear and convincing. So 51 to 80% sure that the election was stolen. Now I know, thanks to the Twitter files and the effect it had on the independent voters, that by the Democrats' own standard with the Russia collusion crap, that it actually was fully stolen. But yeah, as far as January 6th, when I got down there, right, 16 and 19 blocks away from the ellipse, a lot of people don't recognize that. A lot of people don't recognize that the chaos began as Trump was still speaking. So by the time that when he's finally done, and then we go near about 2 miles down the street slowly, because the streets are jam-packed, where I was, because I was kind of a late arrival, there's no barriers that they show early on in the day, right, during the trials. And you get up there and it's just a whole bunch of different things going on. Now, people are confused because it's called the People's House. And for instance, in Michigan, you can walk into the Capitol with guns. And so people thought that they had a right to do this, especially, not do this, but like walk around, take selfies. But some people went even, a small minority of people thought that more was allowed because they stole the election. And our founding fathers said in the Declaration of Independence that we have a right and a duty to overthrow a tyrannical government. But not like 99.99% of people there were not intending to do that. And I love this point that the party that loves guns showed up and did not use a gun against anybody there that day. And so if the goal was insurrection, if it was truly insurrection, I mean, we would have seen it a lot of different things happening. What truly happened overall, the best way to generalize it for everyone, was a lot of people were confused. A lot of people, some people got angry, but also the police were not doing things proper. They were shooting people in the face, angering people. They murdered Roseanne Boylan and Ashley Babbitt, and people still, despite the anger that caused them, they maintain the control. The party that loves guns and also police. This is why I believe this happened in their country. That's why they didn't burn it down. Right? There may have been some people that did that, but you see the crowd. Typically, they're like, "Stop it!" Even in the heat of the anger. So to me, it was a beautiful day because I saw people from all around the country and even other countries there for the love of the country, and very worried about what was going to happen to this country and the world. And as we've seen the past few years, my goodness, it's a lot of people have died as a result of this Biden administration. So,
and that's definitely unfortunate. So you're there, you land on the FBI's target list, and they come after you. How does that unfold? Is it a phone call? Is it a knock? Did they give you the Roger Stone treatment? How did that unfold?
Yeah. Well, real quick too, this is noteworthy. So because when I talk to officers, I've got videos of me getting directions further inside the building, and me taking what I told my jurors, exhibit getting sexy with the popo, which I introduced into evidence. My judge did not like me naming the exhibit that, but I got to name it whatever I wanted. So I bring that up because I thought when I left, hey, the cops said we're not going to be arrested. That we're good. Like, hey, you're allowed to do this. Just here's the rules to follow. And so when I saw a camera crew asking me what my name was, I foolishly said, hey, my name's Brendan Fellows from Albany, New York. And so then a couple hours later, my Democrat family calls me and says, Brendan, the FBI, you're on CNN. It's CNN, of course. And the ticker is underneath it saying FBI looking at all actors, including Trump, charges pending. And I said, I was like, that can't include me, can it? I was like, nah, all right. I think they're trying to do that. As the hours went by, I was like, okay, they're trying to make it out like this. Starting getting death threats and everything. So I was easy to spot and find because I gave my name. So the FBI ended up, it's an interesting arrest story. So I was planning to, long story short, I was planning to do an interview with a French media crew because I kept trying to get my story straight. Bloomberg screwed up everything. They said, an unemployed grocery store worker is like one of the things they described me as. And I like as one of the many things he twisted it. And I was like, excuse me, you're referencing something that I was at a freshman year in high school. Why are you referencing that I'm also unemployed? I own 2 businesses. Well, your Facebook said the last job you had in 2009 was this. So I was really I was very motivated to get an actual story out, and it just was not working. And so this guy calls me, and he's really sketch. I'm getting death threats. He says he just wants to talk. Doesn't even say he's from the FBI. He says he's a state trooper. I talked to a lawyer, and they said it's not the jurisdiction that's going to come get you. Apparently, he's a state trooper and an FBI agent. But they were hunting for me as I was on this media interview at a Hilton hotel, and they had people running all over the city. They activated the entire Albany field office for my, at the time, trespassing misdemeanor. So, yeah, they're sending people everywhere for this. And what's crazy is, I got arrested in the hotel. I had my phone on me. But real quick, I'll include this one story and then let you ask another thing. But I just burst out laughing because once I was arrested, they held me for 3 days till I had a hearing. And they said, the prosecutor came out and she's like, Brandon Fellows ditched his vehicle in the middle of a road, ran on foot to a shopping mall, and was found by agents trying to shove his phone in a candy vending machine. And I burst out laughing. Like I couldn't help it because I was like, what the heck? Oh my God, this is gonna be so easy to obliterate. My lawyer though was like, no. And this is my first experience with these terrible lawyers. We don't want to correct that. It'll upset the prosecutor and that can mess up your plea deal. But later on in documents, I showed they knew this. My arrest document shows that they knew and arrested me in a Hilton hotel where the media crew was. My vehicle was half an hour away, parked in preparation because I was under the impression maybe this guy's legit. I'm going to go visit him after the interview, but I'm bringing the media crew with me. And third, my phone was not shoved up a candy vending machine. It was left on the hotel receptionist's desk. Like there's no candy vending machine anywhere. So I just was like, and so the media started off. That's how we started this whole thing off. He's crazy. Look, MAGA people are stupid. Why would he try to shove a phone up a candy vending machine? And that's the beginning of this whole fake news experience. And it's just continued on.
For your attorney to be like, no, we're not going to correct that because it might upset them. They're already
Yeah.
prosecuting you. Now they're trying to take
I
away your
know.
freedom. How much more upset are you going to get them? So now you just want me to, I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's the one thing that is consistent in all these January 6th stories is the failure of the attorneys. And you know what? I won't even say failure, because failure makes it sound like they were trying.
Like they're trying.
You know, this was the collaboration of all these attorneys on both sides of the coin for the majority of, because I would say 90% of the stories I've heard from the attorneys weren't doing their job, weren't even remotely close to doing their job. I mean, I don't know how much you know, but I did law enforcement for about a decade and a half. So you spend a lot of time in the courtroom. I know basic attorneys on their first cases that would have did a better job than the representation I heard from a lot of the January 6th ones. I mean, it is just, it's insanity. So they come, they swoop you up. You go to court. How does court work out for you? I mean, it's you're fighting an uphill battle. You're looking at a jury pool that is not a jury of your peers. I think everybody recognizes that. You know, how does it work? I mean, you have photo evidence that's you know, getting sexy with the cops. You know, did they even give a smirk on that one, or were they just dead face?
Well, those officers outside where the officers I got sexy with, they had a gas mask on, so I couldn't see it, but I'm sure they were smiling. One of them looked over at each other like, "Hey, this way." I don't know what he was thinking, but inside, no, there's really cool guys. I plan to, once I get my USB in 3 days, repost something that was taken down years ago from my previous TikTok channel, and it was officers giving me directions inside, and he was very friendly. Officers inside where I was when I was were very friendly. A lot of people don't understand is that CNN and all these other places play these images of the tunnel, but a lot of people don't recognize that this building is huge. It has multiple levels, multiple sides, and it's a multiple hour-long event. They're showing these 10-second clips, 30-second clips, and most people were not seeing that area. You know, that's the center of the West. If you're just a little bit north of there, you're not seeing that. Even if you're down a lower level, because that's the mid-level, if you're down there, you're not seeing the tunnel, the stuff going on in the tunnel. It's like a concert. There were so many people, and you know, if you're a little shorter too, you're not going to be seeing exactly what's going on in front of you. But as far as in the court though, so you know, the media says, "Oh, it was disastrous. He got found guilty and everything," but it wasn't disastrous because every person has been found guilty going to jury trial. And I saved money, and I got to have fun and troll them, and I got to make my exhibit list like terrorist Chihuahua, which is a Chihuahua wrapped in a pink blanket that I was talking to at the Capitol, and just saw the anger in the judge's face. And I just got to say whatever I wanted. It was great. It's like January 6th was the best day of my life, and you should have seen these jurors like, oh, but I still was honest about everything in there. Right? I'm like, hey, look, I'm facing up to 23 years consecutive if you guys hold me consecutively. But let me just tell you, I'm not even gonna, you know, brush aside the truth. Like, listen, that was a beautiful day for me. And yeah, I really do think we have a right. I mean, I know we have a right and a duty to overthrow the government. So I saved money by representing myself. Lots of the news kept twisting things along the way, but one of the great successes of representing myself was I got to pursue things that even six-figure attorneys weren't doing, which was which helps bring about reforms to the DC jail. And then also, which in turn, because I got kicked out from that, I helped bring reforms over and helped January 6th defendants. All January 6th defendants get kicked out and get kicked out of a private institution, Northern Neck Jail. So if you want to talk about any of that, I'd be happy to, but you run it.
No, that is exactly where I want to go, because you were sharing some of the stories, and the Gateway Pundit documented. That link will be down for those that want to read the full article as well. When I heard what you were being subjected to, which means other January 6ers are being subjected to, it just blew my mind. As a matter of fact, when I saw one of the first, I think it was a photo or video clip, and it shows you in a cell handcuffed, the first question I asked, I go, dude, were you handcuffed in some of these cells? So kind of lay it out for the audience, because, you know, vast majority of Americans are, you know, especially conservatives and MAGA, are good people. So they probably never been to jail, let alone the DC gulag. So they can't fathom this. Tell us, I mean, paint the picture for what your experience was while you were there.
Well, I'll tell you two interesting events in the general population, right? So I get in there, And the odds of this happening when I come in, I mean, it made it clear, hey, this is a pretty common thing. And I had heard DC's horrible. But when I got in, the first 30 seconds as the marshals were bringing me in through the DC jail, I had to hop on a Con Air flight. They flew me as far west as Oklahoma to get there, and then flew me back to DC. When I went in, there's a person on a speaker asking for all medical units or staff to go to the medical wing for a stabbing victim. I said, okay, well, the odds of that happening in the first 30 seconds of me coming in here probably indicate this happens a lot. And it did, because when I was released from my general population unit, this is not the January 6th wing yet. I get out from an area called 2 South, and that's medium security. This isn't even the worst part. But I get out from my cell, and I'm walking to towards the basketball court, and I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. I'm the only white guy, and I'm just like, okay, well, cool. Everything's so far so good. First 5 minutes out there, and truthfully, it was probably closer to like the first 2 minutes, but it's years ago, 2021. But I see this guy approach this other man, and he says, paraphrasing, hey, where's my honey bun? And guy and them start fighting over a $1 honey bun, and mid-fight, a little, I wouldn't call it a knife, but it was something that was sharp enough to bring blood out, and he starts stabbing the guy. And so I've seen stuff like that. But for me personally, being locked in, and they do this in turns. So the people that were there for the first 5 months had it horrendously on a continuous basis up until like the 4-month mark. Then it kind of came back in waves. So they might say, oh, we're going to do this again for a month. It holds you in 23 and 1, or just not even let you out of your cell. So that happened with me multiple times where, hey, you're not able to leave your cell for 2 weeks at a time. And I mean, not for anything. You're not able to make the phone calls, not able to take the showers. I mean, you've got this small sink. It's about this size, right? You've got to, because you smell so bad, you're like trying to shower in this thing and like shove your head down there. Because, you've got to shower in this small little sink. You've got this crappy food. A lot of times it's rotted eggs, no fruit, by the way. The medical they're not taking care of you for your medical stuff. I had to wear one contact in my eye because I'm legally blind without my contacts, but they wouldn't send me any replacements or give me glasses. So I'm just trying to wear the same contacts so I can still see, because I'm representing myself. I'm like, okay, I got to be able to write. I got to be able to see. So I got tons of eye infections for that. As some of the videos show, I was on like 7 different medicines because I have IBS, which irritable bowel syndrome, which typically you just take care of. I was a nutrition major in college. Typically you just take care of that by eating fruit, naturally take care of it, but they're not giving you that. So I'm taking like tons of medicine for it. But I was attacked by guards for releasing the videos. Those are videos, by the way, on the Gateway Pundit. They thought I had a phone. Yeah. Wow, you got them right there. Yep. And not able to see family for 2 years was definitely one of the tougher parts. But a lot of these people, the constant threat of violence. I mean, I've seen people get punched for singing the anthem. I had to burn my hair off chemically because they wouldn't let us get haircuts. And then, or shaves for the first year and a half until the reforms that I helped bring about allowed us to get haircuts. That's actually post burning my hair off. It was way longer, months prior. When Marjorie Taylor Greene and them came in, I had just recently cut my hair by burning it off and pulling it. But I ran out of magic shave, so I had these really long, I was bald and had these really long sideburns. I looked absolutely ridiculous. So that's just some of the examples of what we endured.
This what you're describing is called torture. Mm-hmm. If we rewind the clock back, 20 years or so, we had, quote unquote, what we described at the time, real terrorists down in Guantanamo Bay and Gitmo. And we had America going crazy because they weren't getting more than 2 meals, or because they didn't have certain blankets to pray. Those conditions didn't even come close to what you guys were subjected to as Americans in American prisons. And yet we don't want to hold these jail officials accountable. That none of this stuff. I mean, there's prison policies, Bureau of Prisons, that strictly, lay out how a prisoner is supposed to be treated. Like, and if you go against that, it goes beyond just policy violations. It becomes criminal. Mm-hmm. And yet I I haven't heard one story of a DC official being held accountable for this. That it's insane. I mean, we're talking about plastic in your water, roaches in your sink, and
black mold or something. It looks like black mold shot out. Yeah.
Whatever that nasty stuff is, I'll bring it back up in a minute to show people.
Yeah, I think maybe you saw it, probably just the image, but I put the black mold or mildew that came out from the water line in the plastic. That's probably what that's probably what you're seeing. Yep, right there. Yep. So that's that black stuff in the bag is what came out of the sink, and I was like, hey, can I get some water from not from this sink? So we also had black mold that they tried to cover up as Congress members are coming in. They came in and quickly, when they found out they were coming in, they sprayed perfume around the place because it smelled like mold, like everywhere. I mean, people were having, people especially with asthma were suffering. But I mean, it's not healthy even if you don't have asthma to be living under that. We had scurvy. I've been trying to use teeth whiteners and whatnot. I've got a dentist appointment I'm scheduling to make up for all the time that they didn't give me a toothbrush. And fortunately, I still don't have a cavity. I've never had a cavity in my life, but I mean, we literally had people suffering from scurvy, from the lack of fruit and not being able to brush their teeth. And like pirates had that. And then the reason, real quick, for a quick 1 minute backstory, is the reason I released those videos. So as I mentioned, when I was representing myself, I pushed and advocated for these things in court and tried to get these things fixed. And then I showed enough evidence for them to start an investigation, an internal investigation through the DOC, Department of Corrections, and also an external investigation through the Marshals. And that began right around December 16th, 2021. And then it came out March 16th or 17th, 2022. Chief Anderson of the United States Marshal Service and a Marvin T. Bickham, in charge of about 55,000 pretrial detainees, came and said, hey, we actually agree even more so with your motions, because my language I used was the grievance process is completely broken, which is illegal according to the Prison Litigation Reform Act of 1984. You said it's broken in many ways in your motions. We have shared through our investigation that it is completely broken. So that allows immediate remedies to our conditions in the courts, but it also means anybody that was there, not just January 6th defendants, but anybody that was in the DC jail while it was broken, can sue over anything. Over it without even providing a paper copy, because it's broken. Typically you're required to do that. And this is the last part, that April 14th, 2022, I had a court hearing that the Deputy Director of Administration, Miss Wilson, was subpoenaed to speak on these conditions, where she just blatantly lied about everything. And then as I went to try to correct her, she pulled a Kamala Harris, Mike Pence debate tactic and just said, excuse me, I'm talking. And so the judge didn't believe me, even though I've nonstop even shared the truth, even if it's sounded bad, and I've said things even to my jury, this is later, but to my jury, despite knowing, hey, this is probably not going to help me, but I share the truth no matter what. I do my best to do that. And so I got mad, and that paired with the 3 fentanyl deaths that we had that week that I decided to release it. I was like, all right, yeah, these guards selling this fentanyl, this pissing me off. They're killing these people in here. We're releasing it. And the judge, after seeing that she lied to him in court about my conditions and knowing how unconstitutional the conditions were, he punished me and actually didn't do anything to her. And he's like, well, Mr. Fellows, you're live streaming. I'm like, man, so we have not gotten any help from these judges. These judges suck.
Imagine that. What Mr. Fellows, you're live streaming. What that really translates into, Mr. Fellows, you're showing everybody what's really going on here, and I need to hold you accountable because I'm part of the institution that's creating all this mess. It's wrong beyond measure. Brandon, real quick, we'll get into the final part here, something that went viral. But for those that are like, hey man, I want to support Brandon, I want to get behind him in this movement. Anything set up where people can go to find you, and I'll make sure all that stuff's linked down below.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my ID here. All my stuff's expired, but I do have a GiveSendGo. In the meantime, eventually I'll get something else up. Yeah, it's GiveSendGo/GAJXA.com. And then you can go there. Eventually get something like a Cash App or something posted up. But eventually I do plan to, be back and opening my business. But for now, I'm staying down in DC and just trying to push and advocate for both jail reforms for both January 6th defendants and others, and just trying to help, people understand what we went through, hold those people accountable, get the DC jail sued. And DC, I want to be a burden on DC, not in a bad way, but in a good way. But that's what I'm focusing on now. And also speaking about this January 6th stuff and finishing up my book. So if they wanted to support me, they can go on that Gifts and Go link. And then I do receive all of those funds 100%. So thank you.
You know what, being a thorn in their side is what's going to institute change. So 100% agree with you. And real quick, before we go to the more funnier side of what happened recently, how long were you in this DC gulag, including, pre-trial, after the verdict and all that?
Not as simple of an answer, because I was kicked out from 2 different facilities, which is pretty gangster, by the way. So, they were like, "Oh, this guy's a nerd. This guy's not meant for jail." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm not going to swear, but I'm so gangster that you guys are claiming you guys are gangster, bro. I just got kicked out of 2 jails." So I was there from August 2nd, 2021 until the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, when the marshals came off of vacation to come and remove me because the warden said, "Get him the hell out of here." And then this was the 3rd warden, right? Because we just kept getting getting wardens fired. And that's also pretty cool. But the 3rd warden comes in, and right June 14th or 15th, 2021 until March 7th, 2024 was when I was the other time I was there. So I was there twice. It's a lot better now, but the drugs are still all over the place. And that's just in the January 6th wing. I think they started freaking out, saying, "All right, we got to make up for all the years of abuse that we've done to these people. Let's start treating them better." I don't know how the general population people are doing. I just know that I have heard they're doing better, but I think they're starting to roll back and start to get comfy over there, since we're not over there. So I was there for, those dates, quite some time. I got out May 20th of this year, and I was in since June 14th, 2021.
That's a long time, man. Too long.
Yeah.
Especially considering you're still very young in life, man. That's not where you're supposed to be. So you had you went to a select subcommittee hearing with Dr. Anthony Fauci. And of course, you were positioned in a perfect spot. And right on the other side of Fauci was another great, the deep state marauder with Ivan Raiklin. That was right there, pretty close to you. And you have a video that has gone completely viral. Multiple people had made versions of it. There's a couple of them well over, a million views. So I'm going to bring that up so people can take a look at this. It's about a minute, 14 seconds. And you guys are going to see something that I think is just absolutely phenomenal. Here we go.
Dr. Fauci, can you please share with us the nature of the threats you have received since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, there have been everything from harassments by emails, texts, letters of myself, my wife, my 3 daughters. There have been credible death threats leading to the arrests of 2 individuals, and credible death threats mean someone who clearly was on their way to kill me. And it's required my having protective services essentially all the time. It is very troublesome to me. It is much more troublesome because they've involved my wife and my 3 daughters.
At these moments, how do you feel? Keep your mic on.
Terrible.
Do you continue to receive threats today?
Yes, I do. Every time someone gets up and says I'm responsible for the death of people throughout the world, the death threats go up.
That's the better edit. That's like my favorite edit out there. So the zoom in one.
I'm telling this dude, man. Well, first, you had shared some information with me. Are you good with sharing that about some people that were watching you while you were there?
Oh, anything. Yeah. Anything you want to ask?
So, all right. So they got wind that you were there. So while you were there, you want to let the audience know who was keeping an eye on you?
Yeah. So I ended up noticing, pretty easygoing, but I just happened to notice anytime I looked to my right, there was a guy like staring at me like that the whole time. And I'm just like, I went like that after a while. I'm like, wait, he was making that face towards me like 10 minutes ago. What the heck? And so I had played a game with him where I was like, all right, I'm just going to stare somewhere in there. You'll see that I'm staring for like, I think it felt like 2 minutes. I'm staring to my right like this. And I'm just seeing how long is this guy going to keep eyes locked with me? And that, however long I'm staring that way, that's how long he kept eyes locked with me. And then he went like this after a bit. So I won the staring contest with a Secret Service guy, but I found out he's Secret Service. This guy's staring at me, and he caught wind. I don't know who helped him catch wind, if it's their facial recognition or if it was one of the media people, because I had heard media people know it, or I will say one of the early Twitter posts that I saw was my local Antifa stalker who's showed up to a lot of my court hearings, and also has walked past the house that I, a place that I've been at in DC. And so she was posting up there and telling people, call the Capitol Police and probation office. This guy's over here. Brandon Fellows is the guy in the camera. So she's like, must be watching it live. I don't know who shared it, but yeah, they caught wind that it was me, and they were like observing me, like ready to watch me, and ready to crack down. But I didn't know that until later. So and that was like days later. I had been made aware of that through the probation office and someone else, but I'll leave that person out for their protection. But yeah, so yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Well, last question. I'll give you the final word so we can send you off. You got some more appointments to get to, brother. One is, what kind of drove you to go to the subcommittee with FAUCI, and then after that, final words that you want to say to the audience, brother.
Yeah. Well, I had been invited to it, and I was thinking, and I love how the leftists are like, he was invited by the senators. How did he get in here? And I'm not even to correct it because I just love them just going down a rabbit hole. So I'm not going to correct it, but or offer what happened in that sense. But I was invited, and I almost didn't go because I only got 2 hours sleep. But I'm still getting used to the sleep cycle out here because like you're in an area with like almost no sunlight, and so your sleep cycle gets totally messed up. And I was just like, I was so exhausted, and then I had my contacts in. I'm still getting used to my contacts, and so you'll see I'm blinking a lot in the video, and I'm just like, but I was motivated because I did not like Fauci. I couldn't stand what he did to this country, this world. I'm like, I'm going to go. And, that's what brought me there. I mean, that was a big reason also. I forgot to mention this. That's what brought me over to January 6th, even more so, which is one of the things Bloomberg News got correct when one of my early interviews, he said, I mainly came because of the COVID lockdowns. Biden was talking about mandatory lockdowns, and he was talking about more unconstitutional, things that they were going to be implementing, like no church services, not being able to operate your business and everything else. I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to go support Trump. I'm going to go support I'm not cool with that. So that's what brought me there. That was a huge, huge reason. And it's very important. And not to mention, his terrible policies helped lead to the death of my grandmother. So, and I'm sure, and I've read a lot of other people's comments online about about these videos. And they feel very happy that I've made these faces because they said that was, and it's just crazy because it's just faces, but they said that they want, like, they feel, a little bit of, they feel better knowing that his moment was kind of ruined by this because they've lost family because of him. They view him as a mass murderer. They weren't able to see their family on their deathbeds. They had their businesses ruined. So that's what brought me there.
No, absolutely. And I mean, it's Fauci. Like, you're going to whine after everything you created. Brandon,
yeah.
Final words. What do you want to say to the audience, brother?
Well, I just want to say, it's regardless of how you feel in the, I don't know who this reaches on the other side, but the party that also constantly is talking about, we need to release people out from jail during 2020. They just wanted to release everybody. And also more so talks about jail reform. I mean, it can't be one-sided. I mean, so the stuff that we were subjected to, we have to, hold those people accountable, because if, for instance, we got in power and we became as evil as them, that could happen to them. Nobody should want these conditions, regardless of your political beliefs. Everybody should also be able to have a fair trial. As you mentioned earlier, we weren't having fair trials over here. They actually did studies on it, and 84% of the DC residents shared anyone with a January 6th related charge they would find guilty. And that's them being honest. How about the people that really were like, oh, wait, if I answer honestly, then we might end up not having trials here. So let me lie about this. So that's willing to share that. And then 64% of the African-American community in DC share that they thought we were there to kill Black people, which is crazy. And definitely the Black people that have been arrested for January 6th have even larger disputes with that. They're like, I wasn't there to kill myself, is that what I imagine, they would say. So because people just imagine it's a whole bunch of white people and anti-Semitic. My family's Jewish. I promise you I'm not anti-Semitic. And but yeah, the January 6th narrative, it's great that it's been opening up. We really got to push for these trials to get out of here, not just pardons, but the appeals process, because we have a right to be able to prove that, hey, we didn't do this. And do I have 3 minutes or 2 minutes? Can I share something up?
Absolutely.
Cool. So we learned a lot from history, and this was the largest criminal investigation in American history, as was also the assassination. The investigation stemming from the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, right? I believe it was about 12 people were held on conspiracy charges, which some people in our movement on January 6th were charged with conspiracy. It was a event that happened in DC, both of them. And it was during a time that was extremely divided. They said January 2021 was the closest we ever came to civil war. And this was obviously, the Civil War was still happening when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. But I believe it was 12 people, including a DC resident named Mary Surratt. She was actually found guilty by a trial in DC, and they hung her and killed her. And it was also a large trial by media, right? Largest manhunt at that time, just like ours is now the largest manhunt. So there's so many similarities. But a year and a half later, they found her son. After killing Mary, they found her son, John Surratt. And they, despite not having the ability to, we have access to so much technology that can help us learn so much. And a lot of people, for instance, Abraham Lincoln didn't even have his first book for, I forget how long it was, but they were less educated. And yet they still were able to have the wisdom and knowledge to figure out, hey, it's not proper for us to have these trials in DC. And so for John Surratt, they moved him to Virginia, but they didn't only just do that. They said, because of how politicized it is, we need his jurors to be 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans because of how divided this is politically. We need our members and we need people, the judges and Congress and people in the media advocating for this, because it's been over twice as long, and despite our advancements, we are not learning from history, and so many people's lives are being ruined as a result of it. We need to learn from history and realize this is not the place to have our trials, and we also need a split up, because we'll see a lot less convictions if we start following what they did with John Surratt, because John Surratt was then found not guilty. So yeah, I think there's great similarities in that story. And thank you for having me on.
What a powerful point to make, because I didn't know that. And I would imagine there's a lot of people that are going to hear that are going to be like, wow. So
yeah,
gotta learn from history. You guys, Brandon Fallows, probably going to be future Captain Insurrection on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links to follow him and support him are down below. We ran this commercial free, so do me a favor, stick around, support the people that support this channel. This is Alpha, the Alpha Warrior Show. You guys, first in, last out, Semper Fi.
Are you worried about the effects that higher inflation rates will have on your investments? Are you trying to secure your retirement savings against losses, but you notice that inflation is a hot topic these days? But how dangerous are low inflation rates on your retirement savings? An inflation rate of 2% may not seem like much, but it means that prices will just about quintuple over the lifetime of the average American. And 4% average inflation rate means that something that costs $1 when they're born will cost $23 when they die. That demonstrates the danger of even low inflation rates. So when it comes to gold and inflation rates, many investors want to know whether inflation rates have an effect on gold prices. What history indicates is that over the long term, increased inflation should lead to correspondingly higher gold prices. From September 1971 to August 2020, gold grew 7.5 times as much as inflation. Not only can an investment in physical gold help protect your assets against the damage done by inflation, it can also help grow the value of your retirement portfolio over the long term. If you're looking to protect your retirement assets, why wait until stock markets crash and gold begins to rise in price?
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale, and here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a January 6th political prisoner rotting away in horrible conditions? January 6th patriots are subject to cruel and unusual punishment every day and kept imprisoned for nearly 3 years without trial. These American heroes have to survive inhumane conditions where they lack basic food nutrients, clothing, and hygiene. Joe Biden's corrupt Department of Justice and FBI Gestapo has been making sure the families of these brave patriots are suffering as well. The breadwinner has been ripped out of the home, and these young families are being extorted thousands of dollars a year to keep up with commissary costs for their J6 prisoner. Many families have been completely devastated, missed mortgage payments, and kicked out of their homes, and even the family car repossessed. The ongoing battle these families face to stay afloat and support their loved ones in prison is in desperate need of our help. You can now sponsor a January 6th family to help support them in their greatest time of need. SponsorJ6.com is a new organization started by January 6th political prisoner for 965 days, Jake Lang, ensuring 100% of funds made go to Patriots commissary accounts. By becoming a sponsor of a J6 family, you can ensure one of the nearly 200 currently incarcerated J6 prisoners is properly clothed and fed. Sign up today to give the vital help these families need and make a real impact in the lives of our POWs. Head to SponsorJ6.com and support our patriots.